Welcome to today's video, where we explore one of the most catastrophic and complex uprisings in world history, the Taiping Rebellion of 1850 to 1864, an internal conflict that rocked China to its core. The Taiping Rebellion wasn't just a political revolt, but a radical movement that sought to reshape Chinese society itself. Over 20 million people would perish as a result of this struggle, making it one of the deadliest conflicts in human history. But what drove this rebellion? How did it unfold, and why did it fail? Let's dive into the deep history of this monumental event. The roots of the Taiping Rebellion can be traced back to the mid-19th century, a time when the Qing Dynasty, China's ruling imperial family since 1644, was in steep decline. The dynasty faced multiple internal crises: economic stagnation, rampant corruption, and widespread poverty. The Chinese populace, particularly in the southern provinces, suffered from the consequences of famine, rising taxes, and the devastating effects of the opium trade. By this period, the king's grip on power had become increasingly tenuous. The dynasty's inability to adapt to the changing global economic and political landscape led to popular discontent, while foreign powers, particularly Britain and France, were increasingly encroaching on China's sovereignty through unequal treaties. This created a perfect storm for revolutionary movements to rise. Amidst this discontent, a young man named Hong Xiuquan, who would become the leader of the Taiping Rebellion, was struggling with his own personal crisis. In 1837, Hong failed the imperial civil service exams for the fourth time, a blow to his aspirations. Around the same time, he experienced a series of visions, which he later interpreted as a divine revelation. Hong claims to have been chosen by God to rid China of demonic Qing rule and establish a new heavenly kingdom. Hong Xiuquan's vision was the catalyst for the creation of the Taiping movement. He came to believe that he was the younger brother of Jesus Christ, chosen by God to bring salvation to China. Hong's interpretation of Christianity was highly syncretic, blending elements of traditional Chinese beliefs with the teachings of the Bible. He rejected traditional Confucianism and Chinese religious practices, instead calling for a theocratic society where people would live according to a new, divinely inspired order. Hong's new faith, known as the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom, sought to overturn the existing social, political, and religious structures of China. His message resonated deeply in southern China, where widespread discontent with the Qing Dynasty, particularly in the wake of failed economic policies, had left a fertile ground for religious revivalism and rebellion. In 1847, Hong attracted a small group of followers in Guangdong province, but it was not until 1850 that the movement began to grow in earnest. Hong's vision was simple: a radical reorganization of society based on the principles of egalitarianism, shared wealth, and strict moral codes. The movement spread rapidly, attracting millions of supporters. The rebellion began in 1850 in Guangxi province, where Hong's followers, initially called the God Worshippers, launched an uprising against the Qing government. What began as a relatively small and localized insurrection quickly gained momentum as local populations, particularly peasants, joined the movement in large numbers, disillusioned by the king's inability to protect them from famine and foreign encroachment. The early successes of the Taiping forces were stunning. By 1853, they had captured Nanjing, China's second-largest city, which would become the capital of the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom. Hong Xiuquan declared himself the Heavenly King and established a new theocratic government based on his religious beliefs. This marked the height of the Taiping Rebellion's early momentum. At its peak, the Taiping army was well organized, with divisions led by Hong's key generals, including his cousin, Yang Shuking. The Taiping forces were a formidable military power, and their ideology of radical social reform, including the abolition of foot binding, opium smoking, and the promotion of gender equality, found support in many corners of China. However, despite their early successes, the Taiping forces faced a number of military and strategic challenges. The Qing Dynasty, though weakening, was not without power. They had the support of regional militias and a loyalist army bolstered by foreign military advisors, notably from Britain and France. These forces initially struggled but slowly began to turn the tide against the Taiping army. One of the key turning points came in the mid-1850s as internal divisions began to tear apart the Taiping leadership. Hong Xiuquan's claim to divine authority made him a central figure, but his leadership style was often erratic and autocratic. His military commanders, including Yang Shuking, became powerful figures in their own right, and tensions over control of the movement began to emerge. These tensions culminated in 1856 when Yang Shuking was executed by Hong's orders, along with many of his followers, leading to a significant weakening of the Taiping's military and organizational structure. Furthermore, the Qing Dynasty began to employ more sophisticated military strategies, including the use of Western-trained troops and artillery, to challenge the Taiping forces. By the early 1860s, the Taiping forces were beginning to fracture both militarily and ideologically. Nanjing, the capital of the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom, came under siege in 1864 by Qing forces, now bolstered by European advisors and modern weapons. After months of intense fighting, the Qing forces captured the city and the Taiping Rebellion effectively collapsed. Hong Xiuquan, who had withdrawn from the front lines and led his people from a distance, died shortly before the fall of Nanjing. His death marked the final blow to the Taiping cause, and the remnants of the Taiping forces were crushed in the aftermath of the siege. The rebellion left behind a legacy of devastation. The toll of the Taiping Rebellion is staggering. Estimates of the death toll range from 20 to 30 million people, making it one of the deadliest conflicts in history. The war also devastated much of southern China, leaving the region deeply scarred and economically debilitated for generations. The Taiping Rebellion had profound and lasting consequences for China. Although it failed in its goal to overthrow the Qing Dynasty, it highlighted the deep weaknesses of the imperial system. The rebellion prompted significant reforms in the Qing military, as well as the rise of regional warlords and the eventual weakening of central imperial control.